Hi there, my name is, and this is a video about the Capricorn full moon coming up on July 21st at 6:16 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. This will be the lunar update for all 12 signs. I am so excited about this full moon. It has so much potential to change our lives for the better. And it is full of wisdom and, frankly, a lot of illumination about things that may have been uncomfortable. However, it's giving us opportunity for accountability and movement. I'm going to give a brief overview of this full moon's energy in a moment, and then I'll dive into all 12 signs. But if you're new to this channel, welcome. At the new and full moon, I put out a extended deep dive reading about what the energy of the full moon will be like for us. So if you prefer a more detailed look, that detailed look is available. And if you happen to be one of the light workers that consider yourself part of the category divine counterpart or twin flame, as of right now, there is a video that's also put out on this channel about what type of movement may go on in that group during each lunation. And you'll also see that here on the channel. Thank you to everyone who signed up for the private list. I hope you enjoyed the additional channeled messages for the collective of light workers. This full moon is probably one of the most consequential and significant of the year, given the aspects it makes. I even put it in front of some of the eclipse lunar updates that we'll see in the fall and saw in the spring. There is so much change moving inside of us, which means there's going to be a lot of change unfolding in our lives. I have extended the sale that I offered with 20% off a personal reading that's 1 hour on my website. Code and link are below this video. If this energy has been unsettling for you, challenging, or opened up some long held wounds for clearing, now is a great time to book a reading so we could look at what is trying to be released from your life to make room for what is coming in. There, if you've looked and you're like, oh, there's no spots available till the end of the month, I'll just wait. I added a couple of more spots. These are for people who are booking for the first time. I won't be shuffling people who are already in the calendar. If you are wanting to book, go ahead and look. But if you know that, I'll just wait until things, maybe she's less busy. I don't tend to get less busy. So please book if you know you're feeling guided to do that. This full moon in Capricorn takes place at the 29th degree of Capricorn, and it has some very interesting aspects. We do see its conjunction to Pluto here, and this makes it all about power. It brings us in touch with a lot of our fears. It also specifically has us looking at places where we have either manipulated ourselves, been manipulated by others, or are manipulating other people in order to gain some sort of control in front of or in order to manage shame, fear, or rage. If these are issues that have shown up for you, this particular full moon is going to not only highlight them in a way that's going to invite you to come back to your center, but it's also going to create a lot of movement for you, specifically because we have Mars and Uranus in trine to this full moon. Uranus brings surprises and things out of the blue. Mars brings movement. So we will see some sort of movement or consequence of action because of the emotional depth at this full moon. We also see a sextile to Neptune and Pisces. Here, Neptune softens some of this challenging, consequential, like intense energy with a lot of spiritual awareness and insight, and brings forward an extraordinary level of peace and visioning capacity if we're willing to lean into it. There's also a trine to a planet that I read as Juno. She's notated as an asteroid by astronomers. However, she is also the energy specifically of the divine feminine, and her voice is now being resurrected by many of us who practice as astrologers as important to and central to the conversation. She is making major conversations to this full moon, and as such, this brings a lot of partnership. She represents partnership, marriage, commitment with an equal partner. This brings partnership themes into this full moon. So, with this, we're going to be closing out a lot of uh, patterns, I would say, in our lives that we have long held that have undermined our capacity to live a full life. For some signs, these patterns are going to be in our relationships with family, with friends, coworkers, bosses or employees, siblings, cousins, or neighbors. For others, these patterns are going to be ways we've dealt with ourself, our own emotions, and our own issues. Part of why this is such a consequential full moon is because Ceres and Pholus, other asteroids that I read, are retrograde square to the natal node or the transiting nodal axis. Whenever you've got planets retrograde square to the transiting nodal axis, you're going to find that we have entered collectively into a season of consequential choice. These kinds of seasons open and close timelines in our lives. So the choices we make in these seasons have far reaching impact. Series closes seasons. Bolus is specifically talking about dealing with poison or toxicity. They're both in the sign that deal with structure in our lives and deal with patterns in our lives, specifically in the work world, but it could be more than that. Institutions, education, healthcare, government, banking. It could also be more specific in terms of just the long held structures of your life having to do with any of your historical or traditional identity markers. I'm a wife, I'm a student, I'm a child, you know, I'm white, I'm black, I am a Christian, I'm Muslim, whatever your identity markers are. Capricorn in particular deals with the groupthink surrounding a lot of those uh, structures that keep a group solidified as a singular group. So some of you are going to find that where the groupthink has really been toxic for you in certain ways, this particular full moon is going to show you, whoa, this is undermining my spiritual health and well being. I need to take a step back, regroup, and really look at where is my leadership, where's my influence to really bring light to the way in which the old guard may be holding a lot of separation and division consciousness, and how can I bring more unity consciousness to the conversation within the groups I'm a part of. So, that is there as well. I would say that this particular full moon is going to be, it's already been dramatic, and we're not even all the way at the peak energy of this full moon. So, a few simple reminders, where you have felt overly stimulated by what you're taking in popular news media, be sure to give yourself that respite that you might need to like nourish your spirit, and remember that most people here on earth actually want the same things you do: safety, housing, love, a way to live in harmony with the earth. Secondarily, I would also remind us to connect with friends who can really lift us up and remind us that we're not crazy. It's a great time to do that, and be a positive and uplifting voice as much as you can in your circles, because you are a light worker. What you say matters, and it does influence other people. Okay. Let's get into the specific signs. And if you want more details on that, of course, you can listen to the extended update for this particular lunation called the Lightworker Energy Update. Link is below this video. Capricorn full moon for Aries and Aries rising. For you, Aries, this full moon is taking place here in your career sector. There is something in the world of your public reputation, identity in the world, and your soul mission that you are being guided to release. You may have some deeper feelings about this release with Pluto conjunct the full moon at this lunation. You may also feel like this is a time of great consequence and changes made having some potentially long term effects. You'd be right with both Ceres and Pholus retrograde square the transiting nodal axis, as I mentioned in the introduction to this video. There's Ceres and Pholus. Here's the transiting nodal axis. I explained why that's consequential. So if you missed it, definitely have a listen. With the North Node in your sign, Aries, the highest decision is the one that's going to allow you more room to be you, best you, all of you at this time. There is a beautiful new beginning around the corner for you, Aries, especially as we get into 2025. These last 6 months of 2024 are going to be about making the transition in your career and in the public sector that's going to set you up for success in that dimension down the road. Making room now will ensure that you can have what you want later. Aries, where it comes to love, you've been in the middle of a major release in your sign since 2023 as the South Node has moved through your love sector. Old patterns, paradigms, and people will be released as you move through this cycle into the spring of 2025. However, at this full moon in particular, you may notice that you're feeling a sense of finality and closure as a direction is revealed to you by your heart in one of those departments, patterns, paradigms, or people. It's not that you've needed to choose, it's more that an organic release has occurred that's closing off access to one of those three things so that you can have the desires of your heart. Since the ruling planet of your love sector, Venus, here, since the ruling planet of your love sector is in your creative sector at this full moon, this is a perfect time for new romance, new patterns, new paradigms that are more self honoring with Venus here in the sign of Leo, self sovereignty. And you'll find that again, this is an organic movement. You're not going to have to try in order to start it and sustain it. This change in how you're showing up in your love life is going to shift the way you're being treated by people in your love life, received by people in your love life, Aries. It's going to, and that's going to allow other people to cherish and choose you, all of the real you, even more than they already are, whether you're in a committed connection or you're looking for new love. For Aries who are in a committed connection, if you've got some fears around making some necessary changes and how that might impact your love life, I would say go for it at this time. Anything you can do to honor yourself is actually going to enhance and deepen the connection and your respect and cherishing in the connection rather than undermine it. So now is the time. Okay, and Aries, if you need any support with that, there is a link below this video specifically for 20% off a personal reading. You can grab that link and you can book over on my website at kmoonastro.com. Taurus and Taurus rising, this full moon is going to take place in the sky for you in the sector that has to do with your faith in yourself, your faith in your prospects in life, your raw potential, and your worldview and belief systems. Where you have harbored beliefs that have not served your capacity to expand, either limitations about who you are or limitations about the world from your family, your peers, your work groups in particular, you're going to find that this full moon makes sure that you're seeing the limiting belief clearly, as well as the necessity of releasing it fully. It's even going to show you more of the personal power you stand to gain in life by letting it go with Pluto entering your public sector. This has been a long time coming, Taurus, where traditions in particular have held you back from not only the love, but the career you've wanted, a fulfilling life that's a reflection of who you really are. This full moon has the potential to break the dam open so you can finally step into a life that's a reflection of who you are when you've embraced yourself because you're less concerned about fitting in. Taurus, where it comes to love in particular, you may find that there's a nostalgia in the air at this full moon. You could find yourself reflecting on love's lost, relationship challenges that have gone unexamined for some time, the years and time that have gone by in which you could have made changes or missed opportunities. Trust the process. This is the ruler of your love sector going retrograde and headed back to the sign it was just in for the last 14 years for a final review before landing in Aquarius for a full 20-year stay. Okay. This rumination is going to help you begin the process of taking your heart seriously and the yearnings of your heart. It's going to show you that they deserve to be honored. The breakout at the edge of your house of self worth and self esteem here with Uranus and Mars being the ancient ruler of your love sector, is trying to share with you that you can honor the desires of your heart above and beyond the boxes that you check for obligation and duty, where duty, obligation, and tradition have overshadowed your heart at this full moon, Taurus. You will feel a heavy calling to make some new choices for the road ahead. Rather than get down on yourself about what didn't happen in the past, the once in a lifetime activity of Jupiter, Mars, and next year, Uranus here in your self worth and self esteem sector is asking you to define what are the new choices and how can you make them, even if you don't yet know the full path or strategy. Gemini, this area where they sit, is notorious for moving one step at a time. So, step by step is going to be much better than no steps at all. If you need some guidance from the blueprint of your life, Taurus, find me at the link below this video for 20% off of a 1 hour private reading with me. Here we go with Gemini. At this full moon, you may find yourself wrapping up a long standing financial issue, Gemini, as this particular full moon unfolds in an area of your chart that deals with uh, what we call other people's money, taxes, loans, credit, or inheritances. If there has been a tug of war for any reason about money due, this full moon may reveal where it's necessary for you to let go of the small wins to get to big wins and be both strategic and willing to think outside of the box in order to bring things to a conclusion that doesn't cost you more than the money itself is worth. This may be a time when taking a physical loss is actually going to lead to a spiritual gain in the fullness of time. I'll also say that given some of the signals here between Pholus and Ceres, Pluto and Saturn, and here's Pluto, here's Saturn, and the signs that they're all in, this specifically is your career sector up here. Come back, notation tool. Notation tool activate. This is going to be a great time because this house also deals with sexuality, to just make sure that you're practicing safe sex if you're sexually active. There are several signals here, including a few others, that are indicative of intimate sexual activity having some potentially unintended consequences that could easily be avoided with some safer sex practices. And lastly, this full moon is one where you're going to find that secrets that have hurt you to hold in for so long can unintentionally and unexpectedly be exposed with Uranus and Mars jumping here or operating so close to your first house of your identity. Know that if this is the case, the purpose of this is to help you release a burden so that you can be free to be more of yourself in the world and create a life with the people and circumstances in your world that are aligned with the truth of who you actually are, not someone you were pretending to be. Gemini, where it comes to love, this full moon will have you deepening your capacity for self love with the ruler of your relationship sector in your sign well into next year, and that's Jupiter. There's also some indication that the kinder you are to yourself with Venus here in Leo in the sector that deals with consciousness and communication, the more you'll find that you are magnetic in ways that you may not have anticipated. I know it sounds cliche, but this full moon truly highlights that your inner dialogue, Gemini, is going to be reflected in the ways that others treat you and talk to you in love, whether you're an established connection or ready to meet someone new. You're also going to see that as we get into this Mercury retrograde period, August 4th through 27th, you may either hear from an ex or feel like reaching out to one yourself as Mercury retrogrades in your communication sector. Okay. You may already have a conscious intuition about this as we get closer to those dates. Additionally, you may be surprised to hear your exact thoughts about yourself come out in the mouths of other people to you. So, again, very critical that you are kind to yourself at this lunation and take any extra time you need to understand your motivations in love at, as as we get toward the end of the month. Okay. And Gemini, if you need any extra help or support with that, you can find me over at Moon Astro, link below this video with a 20% off for a 1 hour reading if you'd like to take a deep dive in your chart about the changes coming. Cancer and Cancer rising. This full moon is taking place for you in a sector of the chart that is right here. There's the full moon. It deals with your relationship sector, and it's going to have you deeply self examining which patterns in love and romantic partners specifically you've outgrown and you're ready to release. Where you've experienced toxicity when it comes to your love life, repeating the same thing over and over, and getting a result that does not serve you, but doing it anyway. This full moon will include not only a wake up call about how you got here, but it's also going to show you which steps you can take to own your power to get on a different pathway. This full moon will also include revelation about where you may have clung to certain visions for your love life that may have proven elusive and detrimental to its fulfillment with the ruler of your seventh house conjunct Nessus obsession here in Pisces. Okay. With Uranus at the tail end of the position in the sky that deals with wish fulfillment here, aspecting this full moon, in your love sector, you may also have some epiphanies about your vision for the future of your love life. These revelations may be uncomfortable in that they are outside of the box, slightly unconventional, a departure from what you previously thought would be either your type of relationship or your type of person. Nevertheless, as you continue to let go of what just has not worked in your love life, this full moon is a setup to make space for what will work in the fullness of time. In your career and money sector, Cancer, you may find that a new project surfaces right on the heels of recognition and concluding an old project, or you may find that a project abruptly changes directions or ends with Mars, the governor of your career sector, speaking to Uranus at the tail end of Taurus. Further, As Neptune has nudged closer to the entrance of your career sector at the top of your chart there, it may feel like clarity you've had about your direction has been slipping away and uncertainty is starting to take hold in your career. This is the beginning of a season of deeper spiritual clarity about your purpose and path in this lifetime. The choices that need to be made in order to cultivate that purpose and path, and the person you're gonna have to become in order to access your divine dream. You may already have an intuitive sense that a major change is on the horizon when it comes to your career, that something has got to shift, even if you don't know what that is yet. As we get into 2025, you'll start to have some deeper intuitive hits about what this will mean in terms of steps to take. But for now, if you've been feeling both busy and disillusioned, this full moon is meant to help you understand why being busy is not enough and some of the deeper mirrors between the disillusionment that you may feel in your love life and your career, as they do indeed share a common root cancer. And if you need some support understanding the blueprint of your life and where you are meant to go personally, if you want to cut to the chase on that, you can always book a reading with me over at kmoonastro.com. Link is below this video, along with a 20% savings code. Leo, at this particular full moon, it is lighting up an area of your chart that has to do with your physical health, your daily routines, and anywhere there are people who work over or under you. This is a closure opportunity for any pattern in your living or health that has gotten in the way of fulfillment or expression of your true self. If you found that instead of living your life each day as you want to live it, you've gone along to get along with the system in play at your job, in your family structure, at this full moon, you're going to find you're ready to put that down and pick up your power in your family system and more unapologetically be yourself with the two rulers of your career sector, both Juno and Venus, in the locations that have to do with being yourself and valuing yourself in the sky. You are the hero you've been waiting for at this full moon, Leo. And the more permission slips you write and use, the better life gets from here on out. Whatever habits you've held on to fill the void of unfulfillment, at this full moon, you're going to find they just don't hit like they used to. And it's time to pick up some new routines and habits to make life worth living. Leos, where it comes to love, this full moon may bring out a surprising motivation to try something new or engage with someone new in your love life. If you've ever played the "it's out of my league" game with yourself when it comes to what you want or who you want in love, this full moon will have you taking some surprising risks and ready to break all of your own rules in order to have what you want, as this full moon nudges the cusp of your relationship sector and speaks quite loudly to Uranus and Mars, surprise and action in your wish fulfillment sector. Leo, with this energy, a bold ask followed by some bold action can lead to a big reward in the love department. My best advice for you, don't overthink this. Follow what feels good and have fun. Leo, if you need some support with this, you can find me over at kmoonastro. Link is below this video with access to a 20% savings code. So if you would like to jump on the reading train, you can do so with greater ease. Virgo, this full moon for you takes place in a sector of the sky that has to do with the tail end of the sector dealing with your creative projects, children, and your own inner child. You may find at this full moon that the only way you can move forward with a creative endeavor that may have had you spinning in circles is to employ a partner or a collaborator who can complement your skills by reminding you of the big picture and which project parts you can release because they are compromising your capacity for completion. Virgo, at this full moon, you'll be able to confront anything that's been a challenge for your inner child to integrate or has been toxic for children you care for, as it will be unignorable. Whether this means dealing with a bully, helping your kid through a difficult breakup, releasing old stories from your inner child about your worthiness and lovability, or getting your kid into rehab if they need it, all things will work better with a partner and a collaborator, whether that's a teacher in their school, other parents, a co parent, or a physician, with the governor of this full moon's location sitting here in the house of partnership. It does look like if you need help with either your kids or an inner child challenge at this time, it will be best to not try to take it all on by yourself. There is information waiting for you with through the eyes, help, and vision of a trusted collaborator. Virgo, where it comes to love, this full moon could have you seeing the close of a relationship or relationship stage. This full moon closure does seem to come with a lot of details to manage and a lot of thought and then rethinking again as we get into the Mercury retrograde at the tail end of the month, going into August. If the movement of one stage of the relationship to the next has felt stressful for you, or the closure of relationship has just dragged on, this full moon will invite you to look at what you can release for the sake of lightening your burden, especially when it comes to releasing old stories about you, your worthiness, and ability to live a beautiful love story in this lifetime. It's havable for you. And it can be easy for you. This does not have to be hard, but to get on with the good stuff, you're going to have to put down the parts that no longer work and have not worked in a long time. For other Virgos, you're going to find that a love story may be taking off at work in your career sector, and it does seem to come with a bit of start and stop or very little clarity, as the ancient ruler of your love sector sits here in your career sector. And for a small few of you, this may be a love triangle situation. Again, the main message, whether you're meeting someone new or working through a stage of relationship in an working through a state change in an existing relationship, the main message is to remember, don't overthink this. You can trust your intuition. It has been showing you where to go since the beginning of this year. It's just about taking the steps and trusting the process. And Virgo, if you need some assistance from the blueprint of your personal chart, you can always book a reading with me over at Moon Astro to get deeper and more detailed insights. 20% savings code just below this video. Libra and Libra rising. This full moon activates a position in the sky that has to do with home and family for you, where there are energies that have lingered in your home structure itself or your family line that have undermined your ability to live a full life, either by spiritual agreement or actual financial contract. You'll see this come to the surface for completion or recognition now. If there's anything in the home like toxic mold or other issues that are undermining the health of the occupants, or more like an atmosphere of complicity with toxic patterns, you'll see this full moon bring it to your attention in a way that's undeniable for you, and which changes are going to have to be made to restore a healthy home dynamic. Whether that's restructuring the terms of a relationship or contract on a home to better suit the well being of the occupants, and especially you, or actually dealing in a new way, finding a new home at this time, this full moon is going to show you what must be done and give you the impetus and oomph, the urge to do it, with Mars speaking in harmony with Uranus with this full moon. Libra, where it comes to love, this full moon signals a few different things which may apply to different Libras. Now, for some of you, there is some level of newness and change when it comes to your relationship with physical intimacy. Whether you're discovering new things about what you like or don't like in the bedroom, or you're seeing a reproductive health challenge pop up that needs attention, or just getting a one off passionate experience is what's in store for you, Libra. This full moon seems to be focused on the physical side of love and romance, with the governor of your love and romance sector here in the sector that deals with physical intimacy in a more overarching way. This full moon is part of a series of full moons that signals the close of a chapter in your love life. This chapter closing may come with some confusion or a loosening of the bond or pattern that may have been entrenched for you for some time, as Neptune nudges the cusp of your love sector and creates disillusionment and washing away energy. As Neptune retrogrades back and forth into the sign that governs relationship for you, you may feel like there's a disintegration of the way things used to be in love and partnership, and a call to lean into something new. You can make the most of what could be confusing by releasing the idea that there's anything wrong here and beginning to vision what could be and what you truly want. This will be the way to make the most of this energy through the end of this year, since a new chapter is truly underway for you in love. And Libra, if you need any support with that, you can find me over at kmoonastro.com. Link is below this video, along with 20% savings for a 1-hour reading. Scorpio, this full moon has your name written all over it, since it is conjunct with the modern ruler of your sign and trine the ancient ruler of your sign, Pluto and Mars, respectively. For you, Scorpio, the energy of this full moon is bringing new awareness to you about your patterns when it comes to thoughts and communication, since it's unfolding in the sector that deals with both. And it is also revealing where old patterns have undermined your ability to live a life in alignment with who you are and what you truly want to create, with the full moon's ruler living in your house of creativity. This full moon is part of a series of lunations that will continue to call your attention to the language you use in your mind and your mouth that could be counterproductive to your manifestations. There's also some indication here that this will be a good time to look at imbalances in relationship to your siblings, cousins, or neighbors, or shifts to short distance or short time travels, as this position in the sky where the full moon sits governs all of those. If there's been discord or toxicity with siblings, cousins, or neighbors, this full moon invokes ownership of your power by creating new boundaries in those relationships that will be more protective of your inner child, since the governor of this full moon sits in the house that specifically deals with inner child and children, and allows you to take ownership of your power. Oh, I said that part, by creating some new boundaries. Okay. Scorpio, where it comes to love, this full moon may see you putting love for your career or passion above romantic love, with the ruler of your romance sector, and that is Venus, sitting inside of your career sector, and the ancient ruler sitting inside of your house that, or the sector of the sky that deals with wish fulfillment. It could also, for other Scorpios, have you finding love in the world of work. You may also find that something in the world of love changes for you almost overnight as we hit peak energy in this full moon. Whether it's you suddenly realize you have feelings for a person or suddenly realize you don't, this full moon does bring some suddenly to your romance sector, with the ancient ruler of your sign speaking to Uranus inside of your romance sector. Things that may have been stalled in your romance sector may suddenly start moving forward at lightning speed during this full moon. Those of you in something committed will find a sudden change gets made on the home front, like moving in together or renovating a house together or leaving one home and moving to another home. Those of you looking for love could be in for a surprise as an ex or someone with whom things never really got off the ground starts to circle the closer we get to this Mercury retrograde. In this case, there does seem to be a tone to this of friends with benefits, something casual or something secret, with Jupiter in the sector of physical intimacy and secrets, and your ruling planet, your ancient ruling planet, soon to join it. All right, Scorpio. So if you need any support understanding what to do with that energy, you can always have a look at the blueprint of your chart with me. Book over at Kmoon Astro. Link is below this video, along with a savings code for 20% off a 1-hour reading. Sagittarius, this full moon for you will take place in an area of your chart that has to do with your self-worth, self-esteem, and earned income. There does seem to be an ending to a project or job that may have compromised these things for some time. There also seems to be some indication that where this job or project that may have undermined your self-esteem or earning ability has impacted your home life, you're on your way to restoring order and structure to your home life at this time. The loss may feel like it's coming at a bad time. However, this is the perfect time for the reset that you've been craving, as there are some opportunities for other things to work out for you in career as we get to the Mercury retrograde, which will go back and forth in your career sector here. Think of this as a double check from the universe if anything you've been involved in work wise has been unhealthy for you. Do you really want this? Is it time to dream new dreams? Where this situation has caused you to go into debt, which definitely looks like it's possible at this full moon, this full moon asks you, how much money do you actually have to spend to make money, and when is enough enough? If the thing holding you back from making the money you need is rooted in a self-esteem or belief in yourself issue, this full moon will reveal it to you so that you can get out of your own way and get on with the work of building the financial security you need. In the world of love, Sagittarius, it does look like there are some major conversations opening up about second chances the further we get to the close of the month and the beginning of August, and that Mercury retrograde, August 4th through 27th, here in the house of second marriages. For interestingly enough, the ruler of your romance sector may bring back a lot of opportunities or a lost love from the past to iron out the challenges that have plagued you in romance for some time. For some of you, this will mean perhaps revisiting these challenges with a coach or a therapist or teacher or instructor of some format. For others, this will be you and a partner having a look at what it would take to try again or try differently. If you're looking for new love during this full moon, it does seem to, this full moon indicates that something could take off as Mars is just about to build momentum in your romance sector. And you may be the one who is the pursuer or initiator. All in all, it's a great full moon for talking through things that have been complicated or convoluted based on worthiness challenges that are now ready to be resolved. You can have what you want, Sagittarius. You just need to name it and claim it. If you need some help understanding your direction or path at this full moon, you can always find me to book a 1-hour reading at the link below this video, along with a 20% savings code to jump on my calendar with greater ease. We do have Capricorn next. Capricorn, this full moon in your sign is creating a final release of a way of being in this lifetime that you have been shown has been ineffective at getting you where you want to go. likely both a personality trait and a behavioral pattern. This full moon is getting you into owning your power since Pluto is conjunct this full moon, and Pluto's about power. And it is opening your eyes to places where you may have surrendered your power. You've grown, Capricorn, and in the light of this full moon, you're going to be able to see where the relationships around you that have depended on you being a person who is disempowered can either adjust to meet the empowered you, or those relationships can be completed at this time. You may feel like there's an urgency to get on with living daily life that has greater room for an expanded and more healthy version of yourself, free of the limitations you now have awareness of from your subconscious mind, with Mars and Uranus here aspecting that full moon in your day-to-day living sector. This full moon is going to give you the energy boost you need to break away from the micro choices that led to disempowerment in your daily communication with people and thought processes about yourself. This is big, Capricorn, and it has been a long time coming. Where it comes to love, this full moon in your sign is recentering your love life around you, what you need, and your emotional truths. This has big consequences and likely some really big emotions with Pluto conjunct the full moon. You likely have some sense that the choices you're making now in your love life are choices that will be impactful for quite some time. And you are correct. This full moon is guiding you toward being more at home with yourself in the world and living a life that you can honestly say you don't regret in love. The big emotions you may have with this full moon and some of the previous lunations of this month are helping you get into a state where the deep emotional bond that you crave has some structure to it, some foundation to it, and some consistency to it that's tangible in the real world. For some of you, this is where you may realize that a bond that you've had for some time has run its course and you've outgrown it, and it has not grown with you. For others of you, this may be a time of deep conversation about where you're ready to grow next and how the relationship will have to change in order to accommodate that transformation. For those of you looking for love, this full moon brings with it the capacity to attract someone who is drawn to your power and your newfound swagger. All the way around, this full moon brings blessings and love by helping you close timelines of disempowerment in your relationships. Capricorn, if you need any support with that, you can find me over at kmoonastro.com. Link is below this video, along with a 20% savings link to jump on my calendar. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. For you, this full moon may create a rumbling or a stirring from deep within about ways you've used your power that may not have worked for you or worked for other people. Some of the realizations at this particular full moon, and there it is in the subconscious mind, just about to emerge, and the awareness and the light of day in that sector of your own identity. Some of these realizations coming through the arena of the subconscious mind may be a bit uncomfortable at this full moon, as you're able to see with some stark clarity the root of patterns that may have emerged in childhood with the full moon and the subconscious mind making aspects to Uranus and Mars in the sector that deals with how you grew up. Others of you may be on the brink of realizing it's time for a relocation of home in order to be more empowered when it comes to your mental health and family dynamics. This full moon illuminates where you are done with a way of operating that has undermined your sense of self-worth and self-esteem, as it makes connections to Neptune in the arena of your worthiness. As illusions fall and clarity kicks in, you're going to find that you have a great deal of power when it comes to authentic connection going forward. Where it comes to love, Aquarius, this full moon may have you feeling the butterflies for someone new who shines in a way that you'd like to shine in your life. There could be a centered in one's selfness that this person exhibits that you admire and feels quite magnetic to you. Their facility with their emotions, as we see there's Sun in Cancer, and we have Venus here in Leo. Leo, self-sovereignty. Cancer, emotional realities. Their facility with their emotions and their commitment to their own process and path may be exactly what you need to date in a way that allows you to be with them without abandoning you. For those of you in an established connection, this full moon may call you out on where you need more you time in the connection so that you can bring your best self to the table. Romance may be in the air as you embark on potential travels or staycations that allow you to bring out more of that best self in love. All in all, Aquarius, this full moon is going to prepare you to be a new version of yourself in love, one that brings a more whole self to the table that's free from certain childhood baggage and expectations that had nothing to do with you to begin with. Pisces, for you, this full moon is going to create a chance to re examine your friendships, your hopes, and your wishes and dreams. Let's go ahead and pull up that Pisces chart for the Capricorn full moon. Here we go. And there's where it takes place in your chart, Pisces. Some of your goals you may realize you've outgrown. They were attached to a version of you that you are no longer. As such, there may be some bittersweet moments of completion as you release those friendships and those dreams to make room for the things that are more aligned. There could be potential for some interpersonal implosions at this time. And for those of you who are living communally or with family, with Mars, Uranus together at the base of your chart in that family sector, aspecting this full moon, this could impact your living situation. Give yourself space, time, and permission to look thoughtfully and carefully at your emotions and what needs they are pointing out to you as we move into the peak of this full moon. Is it that your needs are not getting met by others, or is it that you're expecting other people to meet needs that are meant to be getting met by you first? With the governing planet of this full moon in your first house, there is a strong call to personal responsibility and accountability. And yes, if you've outgrown certain connections, this also means not taking it out on them if they have not grown with you. Maybe they're being guided to grow in ways that call them in new directions as well. Pisces, where it comes to love, this full moon may show you where you've played small as a strategy to win with others. And that may that when an outcome with others that may not and has not occurred, mismatch can be revealed in this configuration. It can also reveal where the tension and stress in a relationship has created significant physical health challenges through a dysregulated nervous system, with Mercury, the ruler of your love sector, speaking to Uranus and Mars over here in your sector that deals with physical health and well-being. Again, there is potential here for a blow up or a meltdown. If this should happen, Pisces, it's critical that you listen to what your own emotions are telling you about where your needs have grown, the language required to ask for what you need, the capacity to respond to your needs before asking someone else to be responsible for them, and the capacity to hear and see the truth about what another person can or cannot do given where they're at in their lives. Breakdowns can be breakthroughs for those in established connections if you're able to manage those steps. And for some, the breakthrough may just be that your needs are not unreasonable. You've just been asking the wrong person. Caught that on Instagram. For those of you who are looking for love, this full moon may have you feeling a bit prowly and ready to do what you need to do for attention or connection, reaching out to exes, posting thirst trap pictures on social media, driving by their job to make sure they see how good you look, this kind of thing. Additionally, you may find Pisces that you're exceptionally motivated to make some changes to your physical health and well being and get to work on accomplishing some of your dreams. This is a function of the ruler of your love sector preparing to retrograde in in the sign that deals with your day-to-day living here. Interesting thing about this is as this unfolds, there could be some deeper knowing that the person or the kind of person that you're attracted to, you are not yet the version of you that you would be attracted to or could have you feel confident with them. Okay. So if you're guided in this full moon to start getting ready, so to speak, so that you can have the confidence to be with the kind of person you are attracted to, Pisces, get ready because 2025 is going to be a banger of a year for you in love. Pisces, if you need some support, understanding how to work with this energy, book with me below at kmoonastro.com. 20% savings code is linked in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing if you're new. Love having you here. And I'll see you at the next lunar update. If you'd like to get on the private list so that you don't miss any of the special channeled messages or savings when they come out, because they are given to the private list first, and I do tend to book out pretty quickly with them, can always jump on that list. The link is below this video. Take great care and bye for now.